Accountability is back. I quote Secretary Pete Hegseth. That was our Secretary of Defense on the record just a couple of months ago. Now the debate among national security professionals is over whether the Secretary was just incompetent or whether he was drunk. That's how low this has gone, and those are serious debates happening among national security professionals today. Because my colleagues are right. This put American lives at risk. This cheapens the work that our men and women on the front lines of our armed services and our intelligence agencies do every single day. Because it says the rules that apply to you don't apply to us as your leaders. There's a simple concept that I would have thought Pete Hegseth would have learned in the National Guard, which is leadership by example. Well, let me tell you, if any guardsman at any level, including the most junior private, had done what Pete Hegseth did, he would not only be fired, would not only lose his security clearance, but he would probably be criminally prosecuted. Let's just debunk a few myths here, because now the approach these leaders are taking is to lie. That's not in the leadership manual for our armed services, but that's what they're doing now. They're saying, oh, this information wasn't classified. Without even knowing the full details, we know that the time of attack for this operation was in the message. Let's be clear. That's classified information. That's all you need to know.
Accountability is back. That's what Rep. Seth Moulton said, and he was not exaggerating. What he was describing isn't just a gaffe or an embarrassing press moment. It's a clear pattern of behavior from a cabinet official that many national security professionals say has put lives and operations at risk. Moulton's blunt formulation, that the debate has become whether Secretary Pete Hegseth was simply incompetent or actually drunk, cuts to the heart of why this matters. Leadership at the top sets the rules and the tone for everyone who serves. Here's what happened in plain terms. Officials reportedly discussed operational details about planned strikes on unsecured commercial messaging apps. An Atlantic reporter was inadvertently added to a private chat that contained those discussions. Later, a second chat with personal contacts, including family members, contained some of the same information. Those disclosures led watchdogs and reporters to ask whether the material shared had been drawn from classified sources. Multiple independent outlets report evidence that messages tied to Hegseth's account previewed an operation, and that the content may have derived from a classified email. That's not just paperwork. That's operational detail that, if exposed, can endanger service members and compromise missions. Why every detail here matters. The military and intelligence communities operate on tightly enforced rules about who can see what and how information flows. The whole point is to protect people and mission success. When junior service members mishandle classified material, the consequences are immediate and severe. Loss of clearance, firing, potential criminal charges. That's the standard Moulton points to when he says a guardsman would not only be fired, would not only lose his security clearance, but he would probably be criminally prosecuted. Leaders are expected to model those same standards. If a Secretary of Defense behaves otherwise, it's not a small mismatch, it's a breakdown in the social contract that keeps classified programs secure. There are 3 practical, teachable takeaways here for viewers who want to understand this beyond the soundbite. First, classification labels and operational timelines are not bureaucratic trivia. Labels like secret, no foreign, and the time of attack are used for a reason. They're often the difference between giving an adversary actionable insight and keeping an operation safe. Independent reporting indicates that watchdogs found classified markers tied to communications that were circulated in unapproved channels, which is why national security officials are alarmed. Second, leadership matters because of mimicry. When the person at the top treats rules as optional, people below take notice, not just in tone, but in behavior. Our service members and intelligence professionals suffer the consequences when chain of command integrity is eroded. Their safety depends on predictable, disciplined handling of sensitive information. That's why bipartisan voices in uniform and out are raising the alarm, and why Moulton framed this as an issue of accountability, not partisanship. Third, institutions have remedies, and they must be used. Independent inspectors general, the Pentagon's own watchdog, and Congress have roles in investigating mishandling of classified material. Where the evidence suggests a violation, it's appropriate for oversight bodies to demand documents, interviews, and, if warranted, referrals for criminal investigation. That's not political theater. That's how a functioning system responds to credible allegations that operational security was threatened. Recent reporting shows watchdog activity and investigations are indeed underway. Now, what should ordinary citizens who care about national security and rule of law do? Ask your representative to support a full bipartisan congressional inquiry and to press for the Inspector General's findings to be made public where possible. Oversight protects troops and the public. Demand transparency about whether classified handling procedures were followed and whether personnel policies are being applied equally, because accountability only works if it's applied to everyone. Finally, let's be clear about the stakes. This isn't about politics in the abstract. This is about whether the people who ask young service members to accept personal risk are themselves willing to live under the same rules. Leadership by example is the baseline. It's a principle that keeps missions secure and service members alive. Rep. Moulton's warning, sharp, uncomfortable, and necessary, is a call to restore that baseline, to insist that rules matter, that consequences follow breaches, and that the safety of those in harm's way is never sacrificed for convenience or loyalty.